Hello everyone, and I will be doing another basic kills tutorial today. The topic of discussion will be the Horse Cannon Checkmate. And before we begin, a short introduction to the Horse Cannon Checkmate will be mandatory. To begin with, the Horse Cannon Checkmate is known as Ma Hou Pao in Chinese, and it is also used in the very commonly heard expression called Fang Ma Hou Pao, which means that it would be a sarcastic way of saying that another person was stating the obvious. Back to the Horse Cannon Checkmate, it is a commonly used technique, but the term which was introduced by the AXF many years ago can be a misnomer, because the horse and cannon can checkmate in several ways, but the horse cannon checkmate would only refer to the following situation. Hence, the situation above would not be a horse cannon checkmate, although it would still be a checkmate by red. So what would constitute a horse cannon checkmate? The horse would be needed as the cannon mount, which will be placed behind the horse. Hence, Mr. Felix Tan, a very good friend and respected Xiangqi expert, has suggested the term horseback cannon, which would be a much more clearer description of the horse cannon checkmate. However, the term horse cannon checkmate has been used for over 30 years now, and some habits are hard to break. In the horse cannon checkmate, moving the horse and the cannon to its respective positions is critical for success. Hence, the skill or the tactics required would often be more important than the kill itself. Just for beginners, as can be seen on the diagram shown here, red will be delivering a checkmate because the cannon will be delivering a check to the black king, and the black king cannot move to the central file. The same thing will be for the black cannon and horse. The black cannon is using the black horse as a cannon mount and will be attacking the red king, and unfortunately for the red king, it cannot advance or retreat, as both intersections have been covered by the black horse. And without further ado, we shall go into some simple examples of the horse cannon checkmate. Okay, I've selected two examples from a book by the late Xiangqi arbiter Mr. Zhu Baowei. In his book on basic Xiangqi kills, I think they are quite definitive. In the first board here, I can see that the basic formation required for red to deliver the horse cannon checkmate is already in place. If the black horse were not present, red would simply checkmate with. This would be a check. The advisor cannot capture the horse, or the cannon will be delivering a check to the black king, so the black king can only move out. If the black horse were not here, it would be a checkmate. However, the presence of the black horse would mean that red will have to make some improvisations. So instead of as red cannot move the cannon, red would deliver another check with the horse. At this point, the correct move to make would be k4 equals to 5. What would happen if black decided to advance his king? Red would simply traverse his cannon to the edge file, and red would be prepared to checkmate with c9 plus 4 on the next move. Black would not have any attack possible, so this would be a victory for red. Hence, when the check is delivered, the black king has to move back to its original position, and red would simply move his cannon out of harm's way, out of the scope of the black horse in this situation. So no matter what black would try to do, it will be a checkmate with the horse cannon checkmate. This example is one of the most basic and commonly seen tactics or threats that are used in almost everyday play for everyday over the board games. In the next board, this is also a very powerful combinational kill with the addition of a red chariot. So it will make use of the Horse Cannon Checkmate, and is quite practical. So in this situation, black will be prepared to checkmate with R8 plus 6 and capture whatever material that black can retreat to defend. So red will start with an elbow horse check, and the only move possible for black would be to retreat the chariot, as the king cannot move out, or the red cannon will be delivering a check. And now it will be the time for the red chariot to work its magic. Check, bold chariot attack. Again, the king cannot capture the red chariot, and neither can the black chariot capture the red chariot, or the red horse would be delivering a check. So the only legal move possible would be k5 plus 1. And at this time, this is another commonly used tactic. Red will boldly capture the black chariot in this situation, and at this point, if the black king captured the red chariot for revenge, it will be a checkmate. Also a horse cannon checkmate. So the best move for black would be to retreat his king, and this would allow the horse chariot to deliver a discovered check with r6 equals to 4, and this would force the black king out. Red will continue to capture the black advisor, and at this point, if it will not matter if black retreated his horse or advanced his king. For example, if he retreated his horse, there will still be a checkmate. If black advanced his king, it will be a horse cannon checkmate. So in this kill, let's go over it again. Checked. The red chariot will be the one doing most of the work, but the threat of the horse cannon checkmate is the key thing that will allow red to boldly capture the advisor and the black chariot. Checkmate. In this third example, which was from the ancient manual Dreams of Divine Positions, it was board 61 in manual, I will demonstrate another very important concept with the horse cannon checkmate. In this situation, the red king has controlled the central file, and red can only use the horse cannon checkmate as his only way of attacking. But how would the red cannon be able to move to this flank for the horse cannon checkmate to materialize? This would be done in several steps. The first move would be to traverse the cannon to the third file, so that the threat of a smothered cannon checkmate would be present. Because the red king is controlling the central file, the advisors cannot move, and black would be forced to move his king to safety. At this point, the order of the moves will be critical for red to win. Red must play r3 equals to 5. R3 must advance his cannon for the check, and cannot move or cannot retreat his horse to the high angular horse position. If red insisted on retreating his horse first, it will be a very grave mistake, because this extra move would buy black some time to rearrange his defensive formation, and after the check, the black king will be able to move back to the central file, and red's attack will run out of steam. The threat of the black pawns and the black cannon will be too much for red to overcome. So it will be critical for red to advance his cannon for the check and force the black king to the third rank, and only at this point can red retreat his horse, and this would immobilize the king to this intersection. So red will continue to retreat his cannon to the 3rd rank, and this would be a threat to checkmate with h7 plus 8. And by doing so, the black advisor will be forced to move. It will not matter whether a5 plus 6 or a5 minus 4 was played. So once the advisor was moved, the red cannon can get to the other side of the board safely. So as black would need at least 2 moves, like p8 plus 1 followed by c9 plus 1 for the checkmate. Red would be 1 step faster in the kill. This method of maneuvering the horse and cannon so that they are able to converge on the same flank or on the same line is very practical and useful. Personally I've used it. I've been able to use it several times, and I've also been beaten by the same petite combination several times. So this is one of the important or endgame tabia, if you like it, ways of playing this combination in this situation. In this last example, this was an endgame composition. I could not find who created it, but it was collected in a book by Gino Cham and Li Zhongjian, 2 late endgame specialists. I have always been a fan of their extremely creative endgame puzzles, and this example that I chose would demonstrate the many ways that the horse cannon can attack in the endgame situation. Although only some of the variations resulted in the horse cannon checkmate, nevertheless, I think the tactical combinations shown here should be very interesting and inspiring. So the red will start with a check by advancing the pawn, and red will sacrifice his pawn at this point. It's a diversionary sacrifice. This would force the black king to the centroid position where the advisors cannot link for defense now. So red will continue with the horse cannon check, and black would use his chariot to block. Now the red will continue with the double check, and this would force the black king to move to the red file, because this file has been controlled by the red king. So at this point, red will deliver a check in this manner. So black will be forced to retreat his horse, and red will deliver a check with the cannon, and red will retreat his horse. At this point, there were 5 variations that were discussed in the manual, and one of the variations would be black would advance his king, and red would checkmate with the horse cannon checkmate. Another variation would be a5 minus 6. So red would use his horse and move it to the high angular horse position, and red will capture the pawn. Notice that the black king is immobile because it cannot advance or cannot move to this file or this file, and by doing so it will actually trap the black chariot to its current position. So red will take his time and maneuver his cannon to the central file and use the advisor as a cannon mount for the final check. This is a very interesting combination and interesting situation for this endgame puzzle. Now back to the original position mentioned just now. Another variation would be a5 plus 6. Black will still lose because red will continue with a check, and capture the black chariot. This would be a book-win situation for red, as the black pawn can be caught easily with the advisor being used as a cannon mount and the red king assisting in the capture of the black pawn. And once the black pawn is captured, it will be a book-win situation for red. Please refer to the English dictionary in my site or the books that I've written. Or maybe I'll do a video on this situation sometimes later. Okay, back to the puzzle. What would happen if black tried to move his chariot? Say with r5 equals to 6 for a check. Red would be forced to move his king here, and at the same time of doing so, red would threaten to checkmate with r5 minus 6. So at this point, let's say black advances his chariot. Red would check in this manner, and it will be a checkmate. So the black chariot would have protected his pawn, but he would still not be able to protect his king. What would happen if black advances his chariot to this position? It will be a check, and black will be forced to use his chariot, to sacrifice his chariot to resolve this checkmate threat. So losing the chariot will mean that black would lose the game. So r6 plus 2 at this point would also result in the same situation. So black will go for the high angular horse, check, capture the pawn. Again, after capturing the pawn, the horse will be protected, and red will be threatening to checkmate with a double check with h5, h6 plus 7. So to prevent that, the chariot will have to be advanced, and red will simply retreat his horse or move his horse away, and this will be a skewer. The red horse will just move away. The black chariot cannot capture the advisor, or it will be a check. So black would lose his chariot no matter what he did, and it will be a book-win situation for red. So back to the position, the original position. Another variation would be p4 equals to 3 to prevent the red cannon from capturing the pawn. So what would happen? Red will continue with his horse, a check, another check, yet another check, 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 and capture the black chariot, and it will be a book-win situation for red in this situation. So once this position was reached, the horse and cannon petite combination could work its wonders, and I believe this endgame composition, although there were not many pieces, is one of the more deeper ones, and one would have to have a very deep grasp of the various techniques possible with the horse cannon combination. So I hope you have enjoyed this short tutorial, and I hope to see you soon. Just a reminder, the third board was from the Ancient Manual Dreams of Divine Positions, which I have also translated in English, and the music here was downloaded from YouTube, and I'm trying to make better videos as I go on. So thank you for your patience, and I hope to be able to improve on my videos as I go along. Have a good day.